Hi, folks. While you're getting going, feel free to take a short poll and introduce yourself in the chat, which many people are doing. I expect we're at the top of the hour now, so we're going to get a big influx of people coming in, and then we'll get started. All right. Oh, I love seeing all of the introductions in the chat room going on. While folks are joining us, I'll start my little intro spiel. Welcome everybody again. It's so great to see some familiar faces. It's nice to see some new faces too. This has actually been one of my favorite parts that keeps me going during the COVID is getting to visit with you guys all from around the country. Somebody did ask, will there be a PowerPoint presentation that can be sent to us after the webinar? Actually, boy, you just asked the question that leads beautifully into my intro spiel. There is no PowerPoint that will be sent out. So one of my favorite parts about this community is that there are no presenters and listeners. We are all experts on this call. And so what we do offer to folks is afterwards you can get a hold of the recorded webinar. We also have transcripts because we have a handy dandy captioner with us today. And so we will be able to put those on the April website along with the ILRU website and send them out. So that is your best way. There is no PowerPoint again because all of the expertise is out there in virtual land sitting with you all. And with that, I just want to say again, welcome to the Rural Conversation Community. This conversation community is a service of the ILNet National Training and Technical Assistance Center, a project of independent living research utilization, and it is facilitated by April. That's me. I'm not April, I'm Mary, but I'll answer to anything. We are the Association of Programs for Rural Independent Living. And just a couple of things again about this community. If you're joining us via Zoom today, feel free to turn on your web camera so we can see and hear you. And I see lots of lovely faces out there. If you want to use captioning, we do have that available. You can push that CC button and it should just pop up and start scrolling on your screen. If you're using computer only, or if you're using the computer, excuse me, you can actually control your microphone and your webcam with those icons. One looks like a little microphone, and then the other one looks like a little camera. And when there's a line through it, that means you are muted or not on. And if there's no line, it means we can all hear you. It's been fun getting to do all these electronic calls. Sometimes I think we hear some conversations that we weren't meant to hear. So just remember to check that little microphone if you're going to have another conversation. And if you're joining us from the phone today, you should be able to press *6 to mute or unmute yourself. I'll tell you what, I'm learning something new every day. So if that doesn't work, you can always email me at molson, molson.april@gmail.com. I have my my second device here, so I can check your emails while I'm running the Zoom call. And just, shoot me a message if at any point in time you have trouble. And then just a couple of little housekeeping things. Again, If you don't mind staying muted, if you're not talking, it just kind of helps us keep access for this call, and it keeps our recording nice and clean. While we're building our community, it's really nice to get to know each other. So please say your name, your CIL, city and state that you're from before you make your comment or question, just so we kind of get familiar with who we all are. And then please just have some fun. Give each other some kudos for all your hard work, and just remember, an old idea or thought to you could be really groundbreaking and a new idea for somebody else. So please just, if in doubt, feel free to share it. And again, resources from all of our previous calls can be found on the April website, april-rural.org, or the ILRU website, which is ilru.org. And that moves us beautifully into today's conversation. So again, we will be talking about COVID-19 on these calls, probably just for a little bit. You know, it seems like folks really get a lot out of that, just sharing with your peers from across the country of what's going on out there. You know, if at any point in time you have another topic that you would like to talk about that isn't related, please feel free to bring it to the floor as well. We really want to use this time, you know, to share your questions and ideas with your peers. If you have any materials that could be useful to your colleagues, you can send those to me and I can throw them right in the chat for people to download today, or we can put them on the website. And today's call, we're hoping to just kind of throw out to you all. We'd like to know, you know, what are services moving forward looking like for you in your state now? There are some of us who are beginning to sort of dabble with opening up. You know, we're wondering what kinds of creative services or staffing you're doing to meet these new demands, funding opportunities you're finding and using to support the services, and then just in general, any ideas or questions you have for peers. So with that, I will kind of be quiet and see if there's anybody out there that would like to be brave and start us off.
Hi, can you hear me?
I sure can, Judith.
Okay, we've been thinking about our consumers' mental health and how they feel kind of like us as far as social isolation. So, of course, we've already done the drive-by and we did signs, and we called the consumer and said, yeah, come outside. And they came outside and we honked our horns and showed signs and said, we miss you, and did all that. But, and another training said to do the sanitation kits. And I think those are all great ideas, but I'm thinking about their mental health and ways to inspire them and for them to think about resilience and sustainability. So one project we had started before was unpaper towels. So we did squares. I bought flannel, and we made these unpaper towels in one of our groups. And so what I did recently was I went and you know, it kind of started as a calming box, but what I did was I put those things in there with material, and I got inspirational coloring pages saying you can do it. I got these little hands that clap, and I got some seeds for $1 that they can go outside and maybe plant something. I bought stickers about hope and, you know, strength, and I don't know. So we're and then I put it all in a tote bag that says you can change the world. So that's something that we're going to do. With our money, we might deliver it ourselves, with gloves and masks, you know, to the door, just to give them something positive and beautiful and inspirational to think about. That's just what we're doing. That's all. I can't hear you.
I'm muted, I'm sorry. Well, I was just saying thank you. Do you mind telling us again where you're from? What still?
Suncoast Center for Independent Living in Sarasota, Florida.
Awesome, thanks Judith.
You're welcome.
Great. Anybody else want to share some things that they're doing, you know, what services might look like, or some creative things that you're doing these days?
Sure, I'll get mine out of the way. I'm Greg York. I work with Southeast Kansas Independent Living. We have been making phone contacts with all of our consumers and just asking if they're in need of anything. We're just trying to follow up and see to be sure that there's no need, and if there is, what we can do to help fill that need in a safe way, with respecting social distancing and protective equipment and things like that. Also, we have set out side of our offices what is known as a mercy box filled with all kinds of supplies that they may need, and we try to keep those stocked and filled every day. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Awesome, thanks Greg. While others are jumping in, I wanted to say Maria from the chat says, in a response to the need for advocacy during and after this pandemic, we are creating a Breaking Silences subcommittee. This subcommittee will solely focus on issues pertaining to disability rights within our local communities, especially those individuals who have been impacted most by the lack of planning and preparedness around COVID-19 pandemic. This subcommittee will be an extension of the Breaking Silences peer group, but will have, hold on. Oops, sorry. One main goal, to create an active space for advocates to work together to develop and create a community awareness and change in the communities that we live, work, and participate in. The intent of this working subcommittee, oh bummer, I'm sorry you guys, somebody chatted me and it pulled it away.
Mary, do you want me to finish?
Will you finish it, Sarah?
Yeah. The intent of this working subcommittee is to make connections with local and state officials, as well as partnering with other organizations. This subcommittee is being formed to ensure that our community members obtain and maintain a place among those who will make decisions that impact our lives. Topics of discussion will include, but not limited to, and only one that I see is community awareness. I don't know if it got cut off from there.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sierra. Sierra is my handy dandy coworker who will be helping me today. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that, Maria. And if you don't mind telling us where you're from. All right. Who else would like to share what's going on out there in your part of the world?
I can jump in.
I'm Bobby, and I'm at Memphis Center for Independent Living in Memphis, Tennessee. And one of the things that we have been doing with our organization is we doing wellness check with some of our consumers as well as our peer groups. We're keeping them apprised of food box giveaway, pantries, free testing. We're making sure that they are aware of those things and any other community activities that is happening that concern the COVID-19 and them. I deal primarily with the disability community as well as the elderly. So a lot of elderly are not able to get out and get groceries, and they're needing help to get medicine and going to the doctor, someone to come them to the doctor. So we are letting them know, giving them resources to other organizations and things to be able to help them out. And so far, we're doing okay.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sorry, Robbie, where again are you from?
Memphis, Tennessee, the Memphis Center for Independent Living.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's great to kind of hear how different folks are doing. Brian, did you want to go next?
Sure. So my name is, am I still muted? No, okay. So my name is Brian Hollander. I am the program manager for Independent Living Resource Center. We're headquartered in Santa Barbara and cover Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Ventura counties. And we have been doing similarly to what a couple of other people have mentioned. We have been calling all of our existing consumers and just doing check-ins with them. And then in addition, we've really ramped up our peer groups. We've actually connected to a couple of existing peer groups that we were not connected to, just to sort of offer them the ability to use our Zoom account and our phone accounts. One of the things that we found throughout this is just that need for connection with people. And so we do that, and we have a Friday chat space that anybody from anywhere in our service region can call into. And that's also done on Zoom and also as a dial-in number, so that, you know, if people have difficulty with, you know, Zoom, you know, or don't have access to a computer, they're still able to participate. And then the other things that we've been doing is really focusing on categorizing resources in each county that we serve, so that if somebody calls for something related to housing or something related to groceries or something related to health care, or really a whole bunch of different sort of category areas, we have different, we've been using Google Documents a lot, and our Google Drive a lot, to sort of organize all of these by county and by category of resource. So that if somebody calls with a specific question, or we're calling someone and they voice a specific need, we're able to address that. So those are some of the things that we're doing. And then we're also doing a lot of work around emergency preparedness and response that we've been really ramping up as well. That and housing protections.
Thanks, Brian. I think that's a lot of great info. I'm curious, were there any resources when you were categorizing them that, you know, other people should be aware of? Some really creative resources you found in the communities?
Well, one of the best things that one of the key things that actually came up right at the beginning of this was, how do I get food? Because there are, as you know, through local areas for the aging, right? Area agencies for the aging, there are home delivered meal programs, but people have to be either 60 or 65 or older, depending on which state and county they're in. And so there are a lot of people with disabilities, especially in more rural areas, that don't really have transportation or are particularly susceptible to infection from COVID. And so they were very concerned about how to get things like groceries and cleaning products and things like that for their homes. So each of our communities has set up several different grocery and home, you know, and cleaning supplies delivery programs that have been really key. And that was the first sort of panic that people kind of went into, was, okay, what do I do about, you know, getting food, and what do I do about getting, you know, cleaning supplies and those kinds of things. So that was probably the biggest newly added resource. And then the other thing that they've added here in California is basically nobody is being asked to continue to live on the streets. If somebody's not willing to go to a shelter, they're trying to find hotel rooms, and they've actually leased entire motels for people, not for one family, you know, for groups of people who are unsheltered. So really creative solutions around housing and homelessness.
Thanks, Brian. And I forgot to mention, if at any point in time you would like to ask a question to one of your peers or a follow-up, please feel free to. We really want this group to be less of my voice and more of your all. So, all right, would anybody else like to share or have any questions?
I will go, Mary. This is Dory Tempio from Able, South Carolina. We've been doing a lot of different things during COVID-19. One of the key integral ones was partnering or evolving our partnership with the South Carolina Emergency Management Division. So we're a part of the emergency response and getting real-time data about how COVID-19 is impacting the disability community, and working with the partners as a part of that program to really address and make it known where people with disabilities might need services and how that looks. So that's one of our big ones. We moved all of our services pretty much to online and remote. So we're having meetings with consumers remotely, with partners, attending our regular project meetings, etc. We became a part of delivering food to consumers through various grants we've gotten, cleaning supplies, any medical supplies, assistive technology they've needed. Another thing that we are thrilled about is we have a partnership with the South Carolina Department of Education to deliver school instruction and programs to students with disabilities throughout this COVID-19, which is this phenomenal opportunity for us, because we've been able to not only assist with the programs being implemented, the schoolwork, the education, and then also serving as mentors for folks who needed one-on-one help through their academic things going on right now. We also have implemented a twice-a-week peer support specifically around COVID-19, both for young adults with disabilities and adults with disabilities. It's where I just came from to come to this meeting, and really talking through what's going on, looking not only at, you know, there's a lot of physical aspects of COVID-19, but I think the emotional aspects and the social isolation are really coming to the forefront for those even who are already socially isolated. So really addressing those needs, talking it through, teaching them leadership and empowerment. We've gotten into medical rights as a person with a disability during COVID-19. How do you communicate with medical professionals? Really looking at the whole gamut. And I think at the end of the day, what they keep telling me is, Miss Lori, I went and told my peer support group here and over here. And so the information is really being disseminated in a wide variety of avenues. And so that's just some of what we've been doing during this time.
Awesome. Thanks, Dory.
Hello, this is Karen Koch. I'm calling with the Center for Independent Living of North Central Pennsylvania. We're located in Williamsport, the home of Little League Baseball, for folks who don't know where we're at. And surprise, surprise, no Little League Baseball this year. Our Center for Independent Living, we are one of the federally funded CILs. We do a lot of nursing home transition. We are encountering barrier after barrier after barrier right now to having access to individuals that are in institutions. Like I said, we have a nursing home transition plan, and we are very proud to say that our very small team of 3 people so far this year has transitioned 9 people. And most recently, several folks during this COVID pandemic. A lot of our efforts are going to, there's nothing positive about this horrid virus, but making people realize how unsafe communal living can be, that a nursing facility is not a safe place for your loved one to be, and hoping to use this to just open people's eyes more, make them more aware of home and community-based services and that that is an option. And at the same time, getting the folks on the Hill in Pennsylvania and on the Hill in Washington, D.C. to look at funding for home and community-based services and supporting those programs. I mean, if it was as easy to get a person into a nursing home as it was to get home and community-based services, it'd be a much better world. As far as locally, we are assisting with distribution of PPE. We've reached out to folks that we've assisted with transitioning. Not all the agencies are providing PPE for their staff, so we're reaching out, making sure folks have what they need. Food-wise, we're very fortunate that we've not seen a great need for emergency food services. We've got a great food bank right here in our community and many, many churches that are assisting, making sure that folks are getting meals. But that's pretty much what I have to say from North Central Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I think that's a really great point. I'm curious, does anybody have any success tips or success stories for working with institutionalized individuals? Anything that you have found to work to help somehow facilitate that process of working to get them out?
Hi, Mary, this is Bobby again. And actually, I'm the nursing to community transition specialist here. That's my main job and main focus. And I've had wonderful success with individuals in transitioning them from institution back into the community. And a lot of them have went on to work if that's what they wanted to do, went to school if that's what they wanted to do, and those that just wanted to stay at home and enjoy themselves, they do that too. In fact, I just recently transitioned 2 people out who are now living in their own apartment. One of them are getting ready to go to school, and the other one is also getting ready to start online classes. So, I mean, they couldn't be happier.
Awesome. And do you mind telling us one more time, you're in Memphis, Tennessee, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So if folks want to connect, you can probably find her on the interwebs. Or
we do have a website, www.mcil.org.
Awesome. Thank you. Was there any tricks was it trickier for you in COVID transferring them out?
Thankfully, I just had got under the wire. They transitioned in February, the last of February. So the biggest hurdle was, of course, getting them situated and getting them the services and stuff in place because of the COVID-19. There were safety precautions that needed to be taken and so forth with the workers and the caregivers and so forth. But we managed and got it done, and they're okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Robbie.
And yeah, do wellness check with them once a week to make sure everything's still okay.
Awesome.
This is
Hi,
Peter.
I'm Amanda Whittington. I'm the Assistive Technology Coordinator at Empower Abilities in Springfield, Missouri. We used to be the Southwest Center for Independent Living. And I'm not, like I said, I'm the AT coordinator, so I don't really do transitions, although I help provide the equipment. We have been working from home. We closed our offices midday on March 12th. So today we've been working from home for 2 months, but our transitions coordinator and transition specialist are still actually transitioning multiple people out a week. And it's been really phenomenal the way that they've worked together. Of course, they have to pass a test and all of that before they can transition out. But basically, they're just, I don't know the exact process because I'm not there, but they meet the person outside. They never go into the facility. Of course, everyone is masked and gloved when appropriate when handling certain things. And it's been really amazing. I think we've probably transitioned out at least 10 people, which has been really phenomenal. And then for me, as the AT person, typically what I'll do is I'll either go up to the office when nobody is there to get them equipment and leave them, with the transition coordinators at their doors or something like that. Or we purchase a lot of new equipment. So I've been just shipping equipment to people's homes. but then I also have the demonstration program for the state, and I am doing a lot of video demonstrations, and we've got like a little bit on Facebook that I do every Tuesday for technology and things like that. And I'm looking at probably when we go back to the office, probably creating barriers, building a table with a barrier so I can do demonstrations. But I will say in Springfield, Missouri, it has been really remarkable how the community has come together. We've got a church that is giving, Life 360 Church is giving week-long food bags to families that anybody can go up there and get them. Convoy of Hope has pitched in. We actually, when all of it happened and there was, a really crazy toilet paper shortage, we offered our supplies. Like if consumers requested it, if they needed, toilet paper, we would do 4 rolls of toilet paper or paper towels or Clorox wipes. So we just shared our supplies, and we were lucky to get donations from Convoy of Hope as well. But the schools are feeding kids and families. It's really remarkable. And I think our center has done just a phenomenal job. We've got a wonderful leadership team, and it actually, although especially for me, because I'm a tech person and I'm very hands-on, that's been difficult for me because I love working with individuals and showing them cool technology. But we're doing the whole staff is pitching in and doing extra COVID check calls every week to our CDS consumers and things like that. So it's been a challenge, but it's actually, I think, been a really good team building exercise for our staff. And like I said, our community has just been absolutely incredible. So I just wanted to share that about our center and what we're doing with transitions and things.
Hi, Mary. I'm Vicki Como from Disability Network West Michigan. We are one of 15 CILs in Michigan. I run the Transportation Voucher Program in Fremont or Newaygo County, and we've been using our volunteer drivers to deliver food from the pantries and medications for those that cannot get out or are very susceptible. That has worked out really well. Our organization as a whole have been doing wellness checks on all of our consumers, and a lot of them are just amazed that we are calling and checking on them. The response has been great. So that's a little bit of what we're doing here in Michigan.
Thank you for sharing that.
And this is Peter from Vermont, and we just have one center for serving the whole state and primarily rural. So we have lots of challenges, not only with COVID-19, but normally as well, especially around transportation. But one of the things that we were able to take advantage of very quickly, and it's a little bit earlier, we already do a Meals on Wheels program specifically for people with disabilities who are unable to cook because of their disability. And so with COVID coming along, we quickly expanded that so that we're serving people with disabilities who don't have access to food. So it's a two-pronged approach where we're initially putting them on Meals on Wheels, and then once we try to get in place through volunteers in a few situations, or advocates are doing it, but trying to set up a grocery shopping process for them and making sure that that's in place, then we may take them off Meals on Wheels program, because that's only providing them with 1 meal a day. Although we are starting to explore with the meal providers. We don't actually cook the meals. There are meal providers all around the state. It's all the same providers that do for meals for the elderly, to see if they have like breakfast meals available and things that we might be able to expand a little bit in that regard. And the other thing that actually is, in my mind, is a good thing that COVID did, was that because everybody was forced to go to all these virtual platforms and conferencing, it's in a rural state, it's really opened up the opportunities for people who didn't usually participate to participate. And long before the pandemic came along, we had partnered with the Vermont Agency of Transportation to make sure people with disabilities had a say in the agency's ADA transition plan. And normally that would have done with a stakeholders meeting in our central office, which is the Capitol in Montpelier. And we would have had people from the surrounding area come, but people, you know, in the southern part of the state that's 3 hours away, and a lot of times people even in the northern part of the state that's an hour away just wouldn't be there. But of course now this had been set up a while ago, and so we just pivoted to you know, a virtual meeting, and so now we can put it out there to a whole lot more people. And the meeting's coming up on the 21st, so I can't tell you yet how many more people will be attending, but I'm hopeful that it'll really expand those opportunities.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Right now.
Thanks for sharing. And I think, you know what, you can't be more right about that. I've heard from some of our other partners like Wyoming, who are also very rural, that this has been a really great opportunity for them to really help their consumers embrace some, you know, some electronic services, which helps with those folks who don't have transportation. So great. I was wondering, I'm going back through the chat here and I see a couple of different things. First of all, many people really talking about that consumers having someone to vent to or listening to has been very important to them. They may be the only agents, we may be the only agency contacting them. You know, other folks saying agreed about keeping folks connected and checking in on them, and that, you know, peer support. So a lot of these comments are really talking about how many of your consumers are needing that, you know, mental health boost, that peer support, that connection. I'm wondering, what are some folks doing in those areas that seems to be working?
This is Brenda from Transitional Paths to Independent Living in Southwestern Pennsylvania. We've been doing a lot of Facebook Live posts and engagement that way through virtual platforms to keep people active. We do, there's a question of the day that people can interact with. There's a sports talk that we do every Friday. And we also do a lot of wellness activities, a daily workout, and a peer support group that meet virtually on our Facebook activities page. And it's really amazing how this situation has brought people into the technological and virtual fold who were technology resistors before that. So I really hope that continues even once we are able to be more social in person.
Thank you. Anybody else want to share on that?
This is Carissa Johnson from Murray, Kentucky, the Cal Independent Living Center. I just wanted to say that we have done, and I actually got the idea from this group. We've done a game day kind of on the House Party app. And our consumers seem to really enjoy that. We've done the Facebook Lives. We've done some virtual peer groups online. And our ladies group is now learning technology that they never thought they had learned before. So it's been really awesome. And these conversations are really awesome to get new ideas. So.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful to hear.
Hi, this is Sean Robison. I'm with the Center for Independent Living out of Central PA. I'm a remote employee. I live out in Bedford, out southwestern part of the state. But I do specialized services covering the whole state and a little bit of nursing home transition, working on the DME project for the state. And one of the things that we've been talking about has been communication a lot. Because with my position, I deal a lot with people living long-term in nursing facilities. And a lot of those people don't have much in the way of contact, or maybe the family isn't really involved anymore, or, you know, they passed. And it seems like the specialized services support coordinators are really the only ones going in, and that's really the only contact that they have with somebody from the outside almost. And then there are some people that do, there's a lot of people that do have family too, but there's just no way for them to really make contact or see them right now, given the situation, you know? So we were talking actually yesterday about maybe trying to get some tech to some of these people in nursing facilities that would be able to use them. And there's patf.us, I think there's TechOwl, and then there's dannyswish.org. But we thought, you know, if we could get maybe something like a tablet or something into consumers' hands that would be able to function with them, that way they could talk to their families on the outside of the nursing facility. Maybe that would help diminish isolation and withdrawal, you know, help with depression. And also we thought about doing a trying to get consumers in on like a consumer meeting, because like at our SIL we would have like luncheons and things like that where consumers could come and get together and share and spend time, and this would just be a virtual version of that. So we thought that that would be a good way of trying to take care of you know, isolation, withdrawal, and depression, anxiety, but we weren't sure exactly about how to go about getting all that tech out there.
Anybody have thoughts on that?
If they had any questions or if they had any advice on that situation.
Sean, this is Brenda Dare. I can tell you that TechOwl has a program to get tablets. They're just now starting a new initiative to try and get more devices available for people. But the one caution I'll give you is that we've had some resistance from facilities who they're not comfortable with tablets because they're afraid that they can be used for monitoring purposes. So just be mindful of that if you're actually going to put them in facilities. I apologize. We've had some facilities say, you know, they're not comfortable with people having access to tablets all the time because they could be used to monitor staff. So that's by no means a reason not to do it. It's just something you have to keep in mind.
Hey,
Okay.
this is Karen again. To follow up on what Brenda was saying about the TechOwl, they do have, like she's saying, the new program, the newest part of TechOwl, Connect to Tech. And like she's talking about the tablets, they have eliminated the need to even have an email address in order to start the application. Just one thing to be cautioned. I had been under the impression that these were going to be longer term loans. They are still the very short term loans. And it was great turnaround time from the time that we filled out the application until the iPad was in the individual's hand in the nursing facility. But you can only have apps on it. You have to tell them in advance what apps you would like to use. So I know for a couple of the consumers, the folks that received these tablets, they were a little bit frustrated that they couldn't just add things to it that they wanted to. Again, for basic communication and being able to send out a, hey, I need help, I'm stuck in this nursing home, it's a great service. And like I said, they're getting stuff turned around very quickly to get them in folks' hands.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Michelle, did you have a comment too? I saw your hand raised. Maybe while she's popping in, since we're still talking about nursing homes, I just wanted to pop back to the chat quick. And Greg from Skill said, something to bear in mind with regards to stimulus monies is that, to my understanding, those in nursing facilities getting the stimulus is that it is protected income. Nursing facilities cannot just automatically take that money, which can be instrumental in transitioning those wishing to do so. And then several others agreed with him on that. So that's just another great hot tip. Thanks, Greg. Just another little thing from the chat. Sharon is wondering, how are you guys getting masks to those that live alone and want to have one before venturing out of their home? Have you been mailing them? She said that there are places you can drive through to get to them, but many consumers rely on public transportation. And then a couple of answers was that, you know, some folks are just sewing them and mailing them. Others have said that they are working with their emergency and disaster planning county director for masks and hand sanitizer and gloves. But does anybody else have thoughts on that? Ways to get protective equipment to the consumers who might need it to begin their ventures out?
Hi,
Can
my
the
name.
home health
Oh,
aides pick them up from the office and then take them to the consumers?
So if they have aides, maybe they could pick them up. That's a great option. And was there somebody else as well?
yeah, sorry. My name is Anna. I'm in Virginia. And we are really lucky to have some staff cars. So sometimes we take them to the families, or we also mail them, like you were saying before. And I also have two quick things that I wanted to touch on. So we've been doing all of our
Oh, I think we lost you really quick. I'm sorry. The suspense is killing me, you guys. While we're waiting for her to get back, I just wanted to add that Spud in the chat box wanted us to know that new federal rules is that each nursing home has to have tablets for residents to communicate with loved ones, like a 1 tablet for every 8 residents. And then Lisa also wanted to add that for centers who are trying to purchase PPE for consumers and staff, she found a source that has surgical masks, large boxes, and also boxes of 10 if you want to provide a small supply for each consumer, N95 masks, sanitizers, and gloves. She's used them and they are legit and they're not gouging. Logistics Plus in Erie, Pennsylvania is what it's called. But sorry, go ahead. Great.
And Mary, there was one question in the chat for those that are doing the Facebook Live. How are you all making that accessible with audio description and even closed caption?
Great question. Anybody have some answers for Alan? Alan, I think you hit the age-old question. How do you make Facebook Live accessible? Has anybody had any success with that? I think, Alan, what I've seen some of the youth groups I'm working with do is just old school it. If you have whoever you are Facebook Living, just ask them to audio describe what they're doing, or if you can have a buddy with them, the buddy system. Oh, I guess you can't do that. We're in COVID. You can't have a buddy there. But you know, even if you have another person on Zoom, like if they're acting it out and somebody else can be, you know, describing it. But no, it's Facebook Live. It's tough. I guess just have them say it out loud. Boy, that's a question, huh? Anybody have any thoughts on that? Oh, Christina says that you can add subtitles after you post the Facebook Live video. Great.
And then even Melody said, app Be My Eyes. So
interesting. An app called Be My Eyes. So just so folks know, I wanted to let you know, because we've got about 10 minutes left here, there are so many wonderful ideas happening in the chat boxes as well that we might not be able to voice all of them. But what we will do is we'll save this chat and it automatically records in the recording. So when that recording link goes out, you can go back and scroll through all the chats as well, which is handy so you don't have to furiously write them all down. And then Amanda says that she is a Be My Eyes volunteer. And Anna Hunter says, if you look online, there's instructions on the internet on how to add the captions to Facebook Live. And Greg went ahead and dropped the Be My Eyes download into the chat box. So thank you everybody for the teamwork in the chat.
And then we can circle back to Chelsea too. Chelsea had a great reference for, they partner with the Vet Center out of Idaho, and they're also able to obtained a grant to purchase tablets to loan out to their community. These are not only for vets, but for kids who are at home and in need to continue education, or anyone in need for a tablet to communicate. So another good resource.
Melody also says that Ohio has a program called Generation Online that will help them get some technology. And Spud also wants to let you know that there are webinars every Friday for the next few weeks at 2 p.m. Eastern Time by the National Consumer Voice for Quality Long-Term Care. Spud, if you don't mind sending that email to me, and my email is that molson.april@gmail.com, then we'll post that information along with the transcripts when we put it up. That would be great. I did want to go back to one of the earlier comments, since we have a few moments left. Sean, who's from Center for Independence in Washington, mentioned that they're doing peer support groups online, but that they are considering to start doing a few peer support groups in person, maybe outdoors. Just wondering if there are other folks who have started those talks in your center about potentially doing some in-person work, and what is that going to look like? Oh, Sierra, you beat me. Anybody? Well, Sean, oh, go ahead.
It's Judy from Sarasota, Florida. We have talked about it. We're actually talking about like having the center like major sanitized, you know, before we reopen, and we've talked about maybe June. And we have talked that if we do have anyone, we'll do the 6-foot distancing thing. But it's really, you know, not anything for sure yet. And we've talked about like doing it in the larger room because we have a very big center. So we thought about doing it like in the main area and, you know, spacing people. We don't have a very big group, I guess, for lack of better thing, but that's as far as we've gotten. We just had a meeting today about, you know, doing everything, getting everything sanitized first, and then, you know, the 6 feet distancing and trying out with small groups first to see how it goes and go from there, kind of. But
thanks for sharing. And Eileen says as well that they're not planning on going live until the state opens up a bit more. But when they do, they're only having half of the staff present. And that they're eliminating the coffee in the waiting room, and most of the waiting room altogether, and that they're creating procedures for staff to sanitize as we go throughout the day. Eileen, if you don't mind, I would love to, when you guys get those created, those procedures for sanitizing for staff, if you guys would be willing to share those. I think any materials that everybody out there in virtual land are creating, if we can have those and make them available to your peers, I think they, you know, why recreate the wheel if folks are already working on it? We would really appreciate it.
In some states, we've been seeing that states are starting to open, but the owners of the actual office buildings are still closed. So having to talk to the different levels of people to figure out if that's even an option for your organization if you don't own your own building.
Thank you, Sarah. So, you know, we've only got about 5 minutes left, and I wanted to just check in with everybody and see if there were any. One of my favorite parts of this call is when you guys workshop specific questions. It's neat seeing those connections. So did anybody have a burning question that they didn't get to ask their peers that they're hoping for some support on?
Hi, this is Bobby Fields from Memphis, Tennessee, Memphis Center for Independent Living. Yes, I have a question for any one of you guys. Some of my consumers, the elderly in particular, who are homebound, have been asking me about how they could get a free test kit and have it done. Given the fact that their age, pre-existing condition, and they have caregivers that come in and out as well as family. So I was wondering how are you dealing with it in your area with the elderly and the disabled that is homebound and cannot get out to go to one of these testing centers and they do not display any symptoms?
Does anybody have any thoughts for Robbie on that?
I know we have reached out to our healthcare department and our mayor and city council to see what can be done to accommodate the situation, but we have yet to come up with an answer.
This is Brenda from Southwestern Pennsylvania. With the fact that there isn't a home test kit available that you can buy that's reliable, I would say the only thing I could suggest is to talk to, you said you talked to your health department, ask specifically if any community health nurses would be available to test people who are most at risk. But that's really a state level policy decision because usually it's the governor that has to release those tests and order that work by the public health nurses. It's a great advocacy opportunity because I agree it's a need, but there just isn't a reliable home test kit available that folks could use on their own.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
One last question, we'll try to sneak it in. We've got a question about, Sharon's wondering, have you guys had any consumers dealing with being evicted or needing legal advice? Sharon says the governor in Texas put a hold on evictions, which has helped at least one of my consumers. You know, Sharon, I can tell you that in Montana, they've also, Governor Bullock has put out a lot on evictions as well, and they're not evicting people at this time where I live.
Mary.
Yeah.
We're in Independent Living Center, Mansfield, Ohio, and I will tell you that our governor also put out a moratorium on evictions. However, we have been dealing with that on a couple of cases. Pretty much for us, we've been very fortunate to be able to step up as a voice of advocacy. And, you know, we have papers that even once we've paid a rent for them, they've still tried to evict. And we actually have it in small print on the bottom of ours that they're guaranteed 30, 60, or 90 days, whatever. But typically when someone stands up I believe, you know, as far as that advocacy, and it's not just the individual they're intimidating, it is helpful, but I see that as a big problem when this is done. We're seeing it in utilities and in rent and other areas too.
Thank you. I think it sounds like perhaps if we're able to continue this next month, I'm hopeful that we'll have another call in June, that maybe we should talk a little bit about stabilizing those consumers like rent and utilities, and hear what folks are doing at that time. Sounds like there are several states here that, oh, interesting. They're holding evictions for people if it's COVID related. However, people are still being evicted if their financial issues are not tied to COVID in Arizona. And Lisa Boney in Nevada is saying that you can use, it's a use for CARES Act monies. Well, you guys, I can't believe it. It's 1 o'clock already. These calls go way too fast for me.
Mary, could I make an announcement fast?
Yeah, please.
Oh, thank you. This is Susie Malloy in Arizona, and I'd like you to everybody to remember that our need for being fragrance-free extends even during the COVID pandemic. And if you can read the labels on the products that you're buying and supplying, the hand sanitizers and room sprays and so forth, please take a look at them and get the least toxic and fragrance-free products that you can find. I know that's not easy to do right now, but do what you can. We'll really appreciate it.
Thank you, Susie. That's a great mention. Also, Susie, Melody asked in the chat box if anyone has resources for helping people with chemical sensitivities. Melody, if you email me, I'd love to connect you with Susie, who I know has a lot of resources for you. And so I have her email, and we can get you connected.
Mary, there aren't very many resources for this purpose right now. I'll share what I got.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everybody again for joining us today. I just really appreciate it. Again, I will save this chat and the recording, and we'll get it out to you so that you can continue to look it through. Please email me at any point in time, again, at molson.april@gmail.com if you have ideas that you would like to hear us share about on a next call. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Have a good day.